Hey everybody, this is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another edition of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. Today we're shining the spotlight on a true rising star at Fox And Roach. Her name is Tabitha Heit, and she just happens to be in my very own Bluebell office. From the get-go, Tabitha has been making her mark in the real estate industry. She sold 15 homes her very first year in real estate, making her Rookie of the Year for Region 3, and she has continued to build upon that success in every consecutive year since her start in the business, leading her to President's Circle Award honors for 2023. But Tabitha's superpowers extend beyond real estate. Her background as a small business owner and entrepreneur has equipped her with invaluable skills that have seamlessly translated into her real estate career. Tabitha's self-accountability, drive, and no-nonsense approach has not only defined her short real estate career, but defines the way that she lives her life. So let's talk about entrepreneurship and accountability with Tabitha Heit, and we'll pick it up on the other side. Today, I have my good friend and office neighbor, Tabitha Heit, on the podcast, ascending superstar of the Bluebell office, a true entrepreneur, and overall badass on the podcast with me today. So Tab, first question, have you sold anything yet today?
Not today. And I was rejected twice this weekend. So
like we were just talking about, I just found out that I did not get a property with a buyer. It had 12 offers on it. It was going 90,000+ over asking. There's no way it's going to appraise. It had on-site septic, on-site well. Some buyer is going to not only pay 90-something thousand over asking, but also pick up a large portion of an appraisal gap. And, oh, by the way, they're waiving all their inspections. So I am a little irritated right now. I do have to tell you,
Well, I had a very similar situation last weekend, and we did all of that, and the appraisal came in ultra low. So my clients are now just appreciating the fact that they way overpaid, but they knew that going in, they needed a house.
Yeah, no, I know. I feel like we're living in the upside down a lot. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's just a crazy world right now. All right. So we're going to jump right into it. I want to start by flashing back to when you were new to the office. And before we ever met, I remember Ann telling me how excited she was that you were joining us in Springhouse at the time and singing your praises about how great you were going to be. And I was like, geez, Ann, like calm down. You know what I mean? And then I also remember your mentor in the office, Judy Yoon, telling me how sharp you were, how you were going to be this incredible, amazing agent in no time flat. And here I am thinking, well, this lady owns another business with her own employees to manage and works long hours outside of real estate. No way can she do both and be successful. She may end up being great for a part-time agent. And boy, was I right. No, just kidding. You have indeed proved me wrong pretty quickly in a big way. So what's it like being a small business owner outside of real estate? And how did it help you cross over into real estate?
So, I own a hair salon in Philadelphia. I've owned it for 17 years now. And it's very similar how many similarities are with real estate versus hair salon. And knowing I wanted to venture into real estate for many years before I actually did it. I ended up doing it through the pandemic when my business was shut down for 3 months for a state mandate, and ended up going through the courses. And that was really the inspiration, COVID, to jump in. So I had wanted to do it for a long time. My mom was in the real estate industry. And so I took the gamble and did it, and came in a market that was pretty insane to come into. It was very busy market. So I don't know if I kind of got lucky on the just jumping in at the time I did. But running a business, helped me prepare, because when you're a business owner, you really have to be a self-starter, and you have to be there to make sure that you're making the money not only for yourself, but for your team. And our team at the salon is 40 people. So when there's slow times, you have to be really creative on how to self-generate and making money come into the salon. So I was a self-starter, and that business helped me thrive, I think, in the real estate industry.
Well, I do think that you make your own luck, in this life. Like there are things that are thrown, in our path, and I think a lot of that is just perseverance and hard work, which you are certainly no stranger to. And the first time that I really knew that you were going to be a top agent, and this is the honest to God truth, is when I saw your Google local services profile continually pop up at the top of the page when I would randomly search for agents near me in my area. And I was like, that Tabitha Heit, I don't know what she's doing, but I knew you had to be pretty savvy to be able to pull that off, like with SEO and not really knowing the business at that point, but knowing how to run a business. I knew you were going to be good. And so,
yeah, it translates. I mean, all that stuff we do in the salon industry when we're marketing, Google has been super important for the salon industry. So I knew it'd be actually more important for the real estate industry, and knowing how effective reviews can be. And the marketing piece of it too, having the salon and knowing to market yourself and your business, it really was similar on what you needed to do, I think, to grow the real estate business.
being an entrepreneur the way that you are, do you feel like your mindset and approach to real estate is different than the average agent having gone through this? Because you've been in the business long enough. You see what other agents are out there doing or not doing. Do you feel like you had mentioned owning your business, like you're responsible for your team? You have to be a self-starter with that. Do you feel like that mindset, that, getting in that zone before you ever got into real estate, gives you a leg up compared to a lot of other agents out there?
I do think so. I think I don't know that if I started becoming a real estate agent at 21 or 22 right out of college, I would have been successful, because I feel like there's just a lot that you need to learn. And you have to be that self-motivated person to just go for it. It's a big risk to get into real estate. And I think sometimes people like going into hair. Sometimes people go into the hair industry thinking it might be easy. And it's not. So it takes being accountable, being talented. It takes, finding things to do during slow periods while you build your book. So in hair, it's different. And I never did hair itself. I always just managed employees. But that's what I trained individuals to be self-starters. And in the real estate, you can't just sit here waiting for your phone to ring for someone that wants to sell a house. You really have to market yourself and be out there, meeting people every single day, however it may be, to get people to want to trust you with a huge financial decision. So I think, being a little bit older coming into this, that helped. I just felt a little bit more secure on who I was and what I can offer to a consumer. So I think I came into it at the right time. I think I was ready the time I came into it, to do it.
Meeting you, and quickly kind of becoming friends with you, like you do not lack for confidence and I think that is a byproduct of not only who you are, but your confidence is in that you have run a successful business outside of real estate, and that you know who you are and you know what to do. And that if you don't know something, you're going to quickly learn it. And having that confidence to kind of shine through with your clients, which I totally get. So, another thing that struck me about you, once we had the chance to meet, was your no nonsense approach to everything, basically everything you do. Like, you don't dilly dally, you don't procrastinate, you don't make excuses, like you get things done. And I have to say, it's all at once refreshing and super annoying at the same time, because now I have to try and keep up with you, which is like an impossible task. In all seriousness, is that because you have to be that way with your schedule, or have you always just been that motivated? Like, does your schedule dictate that you can't mess around, or, have you just always been that motivated?
I unfortunately got that trait from my mom. So my mom was a single mom and she had to work really hard and extra to provide for her two daughters at the time. So she was just always working. My mom was always working to provide for us. So I got that trait from my mom, probably always working and always just moving. My mom always said to me, "We don't have time to be sick." So I'd be like deathly sick, and she'd be like, "You need to go to school. Like, you don't have time to be sick. We don't have time for you to be sick." So I just lived that way. And then I've gotten my husband now onto that. Like, when he has a sniffle, he's like, "Okay, I know I don't have time to be sick." Like, and it's probably a little too much, but that's how I grew up that way. So I've always been like that, a worker. And I was always numbers driven. So with my business, I always set goals. So when we first took on our ownership of the salon, numbers were low. And each year I had a goal in my head. And if I didn't hit that goal, actually, I never did not hit that goal. We consistently grew every year. And even through hard times, we grew. You change how you did business, maybe certain years, but I was always numbers driven. So I always kept that at the forefront and making sure that I looked at those numbers to make sure that I kept on being motivated to hit those numbers.
Yeah, I want to get into that more, because literally my very next question to you was, do you map out short and long-term goals for yourself? And are you a goal setter? And obviously you are. So like, do you have like an end point in your mind, or like long-term goals that you set? Like, do you want to, your yearly goals are one thing, but do you also have long-term goals for your salon or long-term goals for your real estate business? Do you envision something maybe that you want outside of real estate or outside of your hair salon that you're working towards? Like, is there an ultimate goal?
Well, I don't know that there's the ultimate goal right now, but I know that when I first started into real estate, I think I told Judy this. I was like, my goal, I think my first year was to re-side my house. I needed siding. So she was like, "Where's this? When are you going to get the siding?" Like, so my goal was like, okay, how do I get that siding? What do I need to sell to get the siding? So my first year goal, I had a goal of hitting 12 sales, I know, for the year. In my head, I was like, "Oh, I'll do one a month and then I'll be happy with one a month." And I don't remember what I ended up finishing at. I think it was 15 sales the first year, but that was my goal, was one a month or 12 altogether to total out the year. And then I could get my siding, and I got my siding. So sometimes I do things like that you need, but you have to make the money to do it. Long term, obviously I would love a second house at some point after my kids are grown. Maybe, that would be a long-term goal. So it's like setting myself up for that, for a second house. And for me, it's not just about the financial aspect about it, but it's about building, a team, a brand. And I think that I have a younger son who will probably be on my dime for a long time because he has Down syndrome. So I have another mouth to feed and forever. So I, take that into accountability about what his goals are, what I'm going to need to provide for him later on. So for me, it's just work, work, work while I can and while I'm healthy enough to do it.
Yeah, I totally get that. And yeah, you have some things in your life that are like deadly serious, right? Like, you need to provide, and you have a lot of pressure on you. And I feel like, in terms of goal setting, there are things that I envision in my mind all the time, like things that I want to work towards, whether that's, we made a goal of ours happen this year, and that was, getting a shore house, right? That was one of my long-term goals. I was so excited to make that happen. And now I'm focused on my next goal, which is actually getting a house in the mountains. That is my next. I envision these things, having.
Are you thinking like the Poconos?
We go to the Catskills a lot, so I think the Catskills will be my next, hopefully my next venture. and purchase. But yeah, just like you, like I feel like, okay, this is what I need to do. By the way, you won Rookie of the Year, right? You were
I
Rookie of the
did,
Year for
yeah.
our region. So like selling 15 properties your first year is amazing. Like, but you didn't rest on that. And that's the other thing. Like, you don't rest. And so like that's a great thing about you that I truly admire. And I'm not trying to blow smoke at you. I really, really do genuinely respect that about you. And if we get back into kind of the marketing of your small business, I know you're always thinking about trying to get people in the door, right? And I always try and focus on that in real estate. Like, what are we doing if we envision ourselves as our own office? What are we doing to get people in our front door? And so, are there techniques or strategies that you have learned through marketing your salon now that you do as an agent, right? We talked about Google. Are there some other things that you've kind of carried over and you work on that marketing wise to gain business in your real estate business?
Yeah, I think it's very, very similar. So with the business, and at least in my business, which is, beauty, um, beauty services. So people just the power of internet is just so impactful right now. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know what's, the worst, but for us, we use a software that not only alerts us or alerts our clients every time they leave the salon about how their service was, but it gives us an opportunity. Sometimes they take that further and go to Google and write a nice review, or not a great review, like if you get the negative review. But sometimes it doesn't go to Google, it just comes to us. And we're really able to, one, if it's a great review, tell our staff how great their review was, how they really came up and did a great job, and boost them and gives them confidence. And then it goes out there to the world to see, which is the majority of the clients that come into that building are looking at reviews. And they're seeing what someone said about the experience that they had at our business. So for us, we take those reviews. And if we do get a negative one, customer service has always been at the forefront of our business, and which is why it's at the forefront of my real estate business now, is that I reach out to every client, if they've had any type of negative experience, to express, I'm so sorry. I want to fix this. How we will do our best to make it not happen again. And I think not everyone's going to be perfect, but it's holding yourself accountable when you are not perfect and trying better next time. So I took that customer centric focus, and that was always been my focus on all my careers, and making sure that the customer comes first, and that I'll do whatever I can to ensure that the customer/client in real estate feels that they're heard, that they're protected, that they are listened to, and really we're making decisions on the real estate end of it that are going to be strong decisions for the rest of their life.
I think another thing that is one of your strongest attributes is that allows you to be so successful is that you're consistent with everything that you do. And for the life of me, I don't know how you do some of these things. You own your salon, like we talked about. You're a productive real estate agent. You train for marathons and long runs all the time. You're cycling on a Peloton with Fit Fox Tribe. You have kids, sports that we always talk about. You have family needs. You travel to conventions. You go to Summit. You name it, you still do all these things, and you do them consistently. So how do you wake up every day of your life and just keep grinding away the way that you do with things? Like, how do you get through the valleys that, we all face, right? There are
Right.
times that we just don't want to wake up and do it. How do you just keep doing it and keep driving at things consistently?
Because at some point, and it was probably was the birth of my younger one at he's 14 years old, but at that point, life was really, really stressful for our family, and the business was crazy. And now having a child with special needs, just added to the plate. And that at moment, I just decided, like, every day I will wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning and get my hour of time. And for me, that time is not just exercise and feeling good and then, looking, your best, but it's about the mental aspect of it. So it sets me on a good path for working and dealing with clients and dealing with kids and stress. So for me, it's like therapy. So 1 hour a day has to be mine. And when I don't get that, if I have to do it later in the day, my kids know right away. They're like, Mom, go run or go get on the bike or do something. Cause they know I'm like very stressed. I'm very high stressed if I don't have that in the beginning of my day. So it has to happen early, usually. Occasionally it has to happen at night. But if I don't do it, I end up feeling really bad. So it's just an addiction now at this point, but it really is good for my mind.
Well, I have the perfect story about you. All right. So this I think truly encapsulates who you are as a person. So we both went to the convention this year and we had a lot of fun, probably too much fun on Frenchman Street, the
Oh yeah.
we were there, right? So we hop on a plane and we come back from the convention and we get back home and we both get sick. All right. And so I am sick in bed, crying, woe is me, and being miserable, and I need attention from Anne, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, Anne said she had to give you attention.
Exactly, like she always does. I just need an excuse for it. And meanwhile, you did something completely different. And not only different, just this is such a Tabitha story. So can you tell our listeners what you did, being sick, by the way, what you did after the convention when we got back?
So I had to train for a relay where I ran from California to Las Vegas for 3 days straight with very minimal sleep. So I did it. I was sick, but I could not let down the charity, which is National Down Syndrome Society. And I wasn't going to let them down. So I did it. I pushed through and I survived. See, you just have to push through, Jason, and then you will survive.
I think that's the difference between you and me, because I fold faster than like Superman on laundry day. You know what I mean? Like I am like, I'm amazed that you can do that. And you were, by the way, you didn't mention the RV part. By the way, can you talk about the RV part?
So the RV follows the runner. So as you do your relay, then when you're done with your few miles and you jump in the RV and you get a little, food or rest or whatever. And then when your time is up again, you just keep going. The RV follows all the runners. So we were all in this very tight RV. Everything that I had for sickness, the entire RV probably had, because I was blowing my nose and coughing. And they're like, "Oh, this is great." But they all were kind of sick
like, we're so glad you're here, Tabitha. Thanks for that.
No, but they were all a little sick too. So I'm like, we're all just combining germs. It's okay. I did not have COVID. I tested for COVID, so it was something else that I'm sure everyone spread because we all got it. But
so the RV was just a giant petri dish, is basically.
Yeah, it was pretty gross. You don't want to be in an RV with runners who don't get to shower for 3 days.
Oh God. That is not my first choice to spend my time. But you did it.
I did it, yes.
Hey, that's the big thing. So, what advice would you give agents out there that struggle with consistency? I know a lot of that is, like you said, being a self-starter, but is there anything that you would impart on those agents that, quite honestly, aren't as consistent as you are?
Well, I think they have to ask themselves, are they happy with, at the end of the day, are you happy with what you're producing? Are you able to build your life and your lifestyle and your savings for your future? If you're happy with that, then there's no advice I can give. But if you're not happy with that, then you have to step outside your box. You have to hold yourself accountable. in real estate, it's your own thing, like you can't depend and rely on anybody else to do it for you. You have to do it. So I, like my business, the hairstylist, or if you're happy with the situation you're in, then fine. But if you need to plan for your future, and what I find in a lot of these industries, real estate and hair salons, is that sometimes when you turn 65 or 70, you didn't do all that saving you should have. And you have to really think about that future. Like, what does that future look like for somebody, for you, and really plan ahead for that. So, I would always, if someone needs motivation, the first thing is to start exercising, because I do think that does a lot for your brain and holds you accountable that way. And whatever it may be, and exercise is in different forms for everybody. It's yoga, it's whatever. Just move your body so that you remain healthy and able. And then I would goal set, and whether it be savings goal set, just hold yourself accountable, because it's no one's fault but yours if you are not in the place you want to be.
I think that's great advice. And I think even though you and I obviously are different people, I think we do connect in the fact where I feel like I always have a sense of urgency to my business. And I think, you have certain responsibilities for you and your family. Me personally, always in the back of my mind, I've dealt with some health struggles through my life and my career. And I never want to waste a minute. Because
Right.
I know kind of how it feels to be kind of sidelined and be off of the grid for a while because you're sick, or I'm always afraid, like, I don't know what the future holds. And so, like you said, I kind of want to produce while I can produce, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I'm going to be in 10, 20 years from now, but I don't want to be struggling financially when that point comes, if it comes.
Right.
And so I think for us, we have different motivational things, but we're both motivated. We're both self-starters. And I think
Mm-hmm.
you and I both connect that way. So I think that's very helpful for people to hear from your perspective, like what makes you successful and what keeps you going. And I agree with you with the exercise thing. Like, I try my best. I'm not as consistent as you are, but I do try and get out to at least get outside for a while every day if I can.
Right.
And just kind of either walk or, a jog or whatever. I think it's that habit to get into carries over to your business, like you said.
It
So,
hugely does. It
yeah.
totally does. And I don't think I'd be as successful as I am right now if I didn't have that time by myself that's carved out. That's a 1 hour a day just by myself, and just figuring out, making myself happy so that I can be better all around. So I really do think it helps in so many different directions. But, real estate is tough. And I would imagine I haven't seen a crash in market or anything like that. So I haven't experienced that yet. So I know that there's ups and downs, and it's like, okay, so if inventory is low, then maybe, I don't know, maybe we need to start working on rentals. I finding something else to pivot, to help fill your pipeline. So it's just being creative and pivoting if you need to pivot.
there's no excuse. And I think that's the thing. Like, both you and I, with the changes that are ahead in front of us with some of these lawsuits, I think it's the right time to keep that mindset where you're just gonna make it. Like, you're gonna
Yep.
find a path. You're gonna find another source of business, regardless of what's thrown in front of you. And I think there's just no stopping you. And hopefully,
And no stopping you.
yeah, I was going to say, hopefully that carries over to myself as well. So what's next? What's next for you to accomplish? Like, what do you want the next 5 years of your life to look like? What is success look like to you in the short term in the next few years?
I would say success would be, building a team. So I'm working on that right now. So I would like to time block my life a little bit better. I think it's somewhat unhealthy to work the amount of hours all the time on the grind. So I'm looking to just kind of have more team members so that, all my clients can be taken care of as well. But, there's just more people to help out with that. So I'm looking to do that, so that I can really carve out more quality time, with the people I love, and my friends. And, sometimes like you miss your friends and doing things. And sometimes like you just work so much and the weekends come and you're like, I just can't go out to dinner with anybody right now. So I want a little bit more balance in my life in 5 years. By then I'll have a kid in college and one more to go. But, so more balance for the next 5 years and expanding. I just got my license in New York, so I'll be expanding in that market as well.
Yeah, I forgot that you had gotten your license in New York. So I mean, yeah, you have a lot of stuff personally on the horizon, and I know you'll accomplish all that you set out to do. So, last question before I let you get out of here. So, since you own a salon, and we're always working on marketing, like we talked about. So, do you ever think about giving your clients branded switchblade combs? And or free haircuts as settlement gifts?
I have not, but maybe I should. You might have just had the great idea.
Well, I was thinking about like what could you put like your logo on, and I was thinking about like your smocks, like your
right,
or whatever.
Right.
Like you put like like Tabitha. What is your Tab Fine Homes? What is it?
Tab Heit Homes.
Tab Heit Homes. Right? So you put that on a smock, you put that on a switchblade comb, like you're set.
Right.
Like that's
You
win-win right there.
I'll try to find the next creative thing that I can, throw my logo on.
Well, I know you don't do hair, but like you could literally shave that into somebody's head, like your logo.
I could. I could. Yeah. my kids.
You're
like,
just giving me.
You gotta take one for the team.
You're giving me ideas because now I need to come to your salon and get my logo shaved in my own head. So
you could do that.
All right, Tab. Well, it's always good to talk to you. I know I'll be seeing you soon, but thank you so much for doing this today. It was
thank you for having me, Jason. I feel honored. My buddy from the office invited me, so that was very nice.
I know we finally got you on and made it happen. So thank you for doing it, and I'm gonna see you soon. That was the conversation this week with Tabitha Heit. We thank her for her time. Here are a few takeaways that I had in talking with Tabitha. Number one, I don't think there's a better word to describe Tab than the word tenacity. Tabitha just has a lot of tenacity, and I think it's a great example for what we need to have in our own life, in our own business. Tabitha has a lot going on between running, cycling, family obligations, two businesses that she has to run. She has a ton of tenacity, and she has to have that tenacity in order to keep going. And I think for our own business in the real estate world, right now we have a lot on the horizon that may or may not affect the way that we do things. We have to have the tenacity to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off when things aren't going our way, and just keep going. Have that tenacity until you succeed. Which leads me to my second point. Tabitha makes no excuses. And that's really one of the traits that I admire most about her, is that there are no excuses. If she wants to do something, she finds a way to get it done. And it's very easy for us, with everything else going on in our lives, to have an excuse not to do, say, one more thing that day marketing-wise, or to reach out to this client or follow up with, someone we haven't spoken to in a long time. Tabitha makes no excuses, and therefore makes her own luck when it comes to real estate. You know why she succeeds, because she has that self-accountability to say, hey, listen, no excuses. I'm just going to get this done. I didn't do this. I need to do this. And then she finds a way. And the last thing that I'll say about my conversation with Tab is that she is a true entrepreneur. Like, she has the vision. And I think a lot of times as agents, we have to have the vision to think about our business outside of the world of real estate. Think about it from the aspect of having another business and apply it to real estate, because I think we get lost in the shuffle of thinking it's like groupthink. You know, realtors tend to think alike, tend to market alike, and maybe sometimes we have to approach it from another business and how they market things, because sales is sales. And if we get a great idea from maybe something outside of our industry to incorporate into our industry, will make us better realtors and gain us business overall. So have the vision, have that entrepreneurial spirit to think outside of real estate and apply it to your business. Well, that's it for the episode this week. We will be back in another couple of weeks with a new topic, a new guest, and as always, if you want to hear something that we haven't covered yet, please reach out to me, jason.ostrowski@foxroach.com. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the podcast yet or left us a review, please do so. It helps us to reach more people. Once again, this is Jason Ostrowski saying stay safe out there, stay selling, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast.